Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So we have a different angle today because I want to show you and tell you about how I create my sewing patterns. And so we are here at my computer where all the magic happens. And to begin with, I want to share a bit of my story with you. So where do I come from? Why do I do this? And to begin with, well, I never had much fun shopping for clothes because clothes never really fit me out of a store. And you see, I am very tall for a woman and I have a very short upper body, but a very wide hip bone. And you may notice in this list, these are all things I cannot change. I can lose weight, I can gain weight, but I cannot change my skeleton. And if I try to put all my measurements in a table for the ready-to-wear sizing system, it jumps all over the place, over 6 sizes, 6 different sizes. So not a chance that I'm going to find anything in the store that fit me right. And you might think that sewing my own clothes would have come naturally to me, but while I did think about it, I felt very intimidated by the very thought of mastering such a craft, such a big, huge craft, and I felt it would be too difficult for me. Just no, wouldn't happen, so I just even didn't try. Biggest mistake here. So I didn't touch a sewing machine until about 14, yeah, that should be right, 14 years ago. But not to sew clothing, actually. I bought my first sewing machine to make baby blankets for all the people in my surrounding, my friends, my family, who started to get babies. And a little rectangle baby blanket doesn't seem too intimidating, you know. And I stuck with baby blankets for a long time, and I made some bags. I loved making bags. Again, not so complicated because bags, well, they're mostly rectangles and you can freely choose the size. It doesn't need to fit anything or anyone. And it took me quite some time to muster the courage to start to try to make my first piece of clothing. I think it was a knit dress. I think it was a free pattern from Border, a knit dress. And you might think knit is forgiving, which shouldn't be so hard. But actually, it was quite a catastrophe. First, because I didn't really know how to work with knits, and second, because of the fit. Because again, the sewing patterns were also made with the same system like the clothes in the store. So, same problem for me. And then I sat down and thought, well, okay, so I obviously need to learn how to alter patterns, and I would need to alter every sewing pattern I work with, or I can try to learn how to make sewing patterns. So I went to my library and got myself some books and started drafting. And yeah, that actually went pretty great. I made my first sewing patterns. One of my first sewing patterns was actually a coat. I know she started with a coat, but you know, I loved this thing. Seriously, I could make it as long as I needed to. I could make the sleeves as long as I needed to. I can put the waist where I want them to be. So it was great. It was such a great experience, and yeah, I fell in love. So So and I thought, I'm not going back anywhere. So these are books I mainly work with. Pattern Making for Fashion by Guido Hofenbitzer. This is the English version of issue 1. There are 3 German issues, but this is so far, I think, the only one in English. But these books are great. I have added my own kind of spice to it, and well, I have watched many YouTube tutorials. So this all influenced me. But so I made paper patterns for quite some time, and then I thought, okay, you're getting quite good at this. What about to share your sewing patterns? And then I thought again, because I need some type of sizing system when I want to share my sewing patterns, because that is the function of a sizing system when you, who makes the pattern or the clothes, and the people who are buying them, sewing them, wearing them, never meet. You need some sort of a guide, so that people know which piece they should pick. And this is actually all what a sizing system should be, a guide, and not a measure for your beauty. That's ridiculous. You're not prettier when you're a size 38 than a size 44. Yeah? And so back to what I was telling, I had, well, 2 options basically. I could work with an established system, an established sizing chart, but then I wouldn't be able to wear my very own patterns without changing them. And this doesn't felt like an option. But the second way would be to create an own sizing chart based on my own measurements, and the amount of people who would fit in that would be minusculely small. So I was thinking, and you see, I'm a web developer. I build websites for a living. And I thought, can't I code my sewing patterns so that they can dynamically work together with whatever measurements you throw at the software? And yeah, that was the first thought, the initial spark. And about 6 years ago, I sat down and made my first pattern, a short sock pattern, very, very simple. And so far, I have calculated it, so far I have written 71,000 lines of code for my software in 6 years. This is a number I need to process. Now it can do many things. You see, I have built kind of a library of pattern pieces which can be repeated and changed with some settings to create all sorts of clothing system? No, clothing pieces, pattern pieces. And yeah, I would like to show this to you. Maybe you're interested. So the website is written in PHP. This is a programming language. And I use the open source content management system, the Typo 3, as a kind of framework. Typo 3 does not have anything to do with sewing patterns. It's just a framework system to build websites. And my sewing patterns are laid into that in form of an extension, an add-on, you can say. And this add-on is the 71,000 lines, which I added to the software. And yeah, there's a little bit of HTML for the templating, of course, and JavaScript for the front end, but mainly I work in PHP. And I would like to show you some pattern I'm just working on. Okay, so I do hope you can see something. This is the pattern I am working on right now. This is actually the pattern for Shirtwaist September. I want to make up in this month, September. And you have here, can you see it? Yeah. Here on the left you have a button band, the skirt front, the skirt back. It's a quarter circle skirt. You have a long sleeve. And here you have the back. Down here is the front. There's the collar stand and the collar itself, and here are the cuff and the placket for the sleeve. And as you see the pattern here, this is all made up by my pieces directly out of the library. Oh, that was a loud motorcycle. Again, what you see here is just made up with pieces from my library. So these are all pieces I do repeat over my sewing patterns. So if I want to make a dress, I need some kind of bodice piece, of course. I need the sleeve. I don't draft a new sleeve every time I need a sleeve. So these are all my library pieces, and I will show you how this looks in my file. So you can't see it because there's too much light. Let me move this a bit. Can't move it too far away. Let's see here in the center. We have a pattern file for this pattern. This is the mignonette dress, and yeah, you see a lot of text. So this is how my patterns are constructed. I start every pattern with a set of slopers. Slopers or blocks or base patterns, you name it. This means I have here my set-in top sloper, set-in because of set-in sleeves. And here I have a set-in sleeve sloper and the circle skirt sloper and the placket sloper. This is for the sleeve placket. And here comes some configuration. For example, here for the sleeve, I want a wide sleeve. This relates to the sleeve head. So I want a wide sleeve head, a flat sleeve head and a wide sleeve. And I can also do additional configurations. It's all about configurations here. So I can here I'm calculating in millimeters. So these 35 millimeters for the wrist edition is a bit of ease around your wrist here. This looked probably pretty weird. So every sloper knows what measurements it needs. So when I call these slopers at this point, the main program knows what measurements it needs to call out of the measure set or out of the ready-to-wear size. So I get, so the first thing what the software actually does is to take all the measurements that the slopers told them they need. And then I add the configured ease. And then I start to process the slopers. So I have a set-in top sloper here, and then the first thing would be to go through the code in the set-in top sloper and to calculate a set of coordinates. And I need these coordinates. Hope you can see my mouse here. So this is one coordinate. Here on top is one coordinate. Here on the side is one coordinates, and so on. All the points I need to draw these sleeves are calculated in the sloper. So at the very beginning, you already have some have your own thing. So the slopers are calculated to your size. In case you're working with a measure set, to your very own measurements. So this is actually like, I don't know if you know the YouTube channel The Closet Historian, because this is actually what she does. She calls it a block. She has her bodice block, her skirt block, and when she starts creating a new pattern, she always traces a copy from her block. And this is actually the same as I do here. I basically create a copy from my block, my sloper. And then the next step are the part groups. This is just a name I came up with. So these are pieces, pattern pieces, which I need often. This is actually every pattern piece here is represented by a part group. So this group comes with drawing instructions for this pattern piece, for this skirt piece here, for example, and it also comes with all the markers here. So here on top the pattern piece marker, here the fold marker, and here it's not visible good. No. Here's the grain line marker below, or with all the notches here for the sleeves. This is all what comes out of a part group. So this is just a wrapper for the informations. Actually, the part group draws the pattern piece. The sloper calculates the basic coordinates, and then the part group has all the informations for drawing these pieces. So I can do much individualization on this case. For example, here we have the bodice front. I can quite simply, I've prepared this for you, change the position of the bustard. And I reload this, and you see the bustard is now positioned in the shoulder. So this was just one change of one line. This is how this whole configuration thing works. Just need to save it. Boom, bustard on the side again. So this represents all the pattern pieces I can take out of the library as they are. This would make actually a pretty nice dress. And in case you're wondering, this here is basically what the pattern kits do dynamically by your input. So this pattern file is virtually built by the pattern kits. So things like here, what do we have here? The fit class, the fitting category. You can change the arm depth lowering. That is actually a measurement here for how low the armhole should sit. These are all things you can change here in the pattern kits. Let me show you. So here you can change the skirt, for example, and every time you do this, you add a different, maybe a different sloper. Most cases just a different part group. Or you would need a different sloper for the pencil skirt than for the circle skirt. Or here for the sleeves. This is a short sleeve, this is a different pattern, different part group, but the same sloper than the long sleeve here, right? And all these settings here is what I write down in my pattern file. So here, neckline. You see here the neckline. This is also a very easy change. Here at the sloper. Ah, no, not the width. Let me change the depth of the neckline. Bam. You see, it got much lower just by changing this setting. And now you see where the 71,000 code lines come into play, because this is all what happens automatically. So all these changes I do are done in the part group. I can show you if you want. Here is the top part group. This is actually a lot of code. So here is the drawing instruction, the basic drawing instruction of a bag. Here are all the markers. Some experimental stuff which is commented out, and here is all the configuration you can actually make, and here happens all the magic. So here are many if statements. So if the if the bustard should sit in the shoulder, then do this to the pattern. So this is a lot of code. So back to our pattern file. So as I said, this is all, here are my pattern parts. This is simply a mapping for all my part groups. And this is how the pattern came basically out of the box. So, but what if I want to make changes which only applies to this model? So for this dress I want to add some pin tucks here into the front. Let me reword this. Okay, so I want to add some pin tucks. So what I need to do is I need to take the front neck hole and cut it twice. For each pin tuck I want to create, I need to make a cut here, and then I need to spread the pattern piece a bit, so to add room for the pin tuck. And then I need to add some markers here. And this would be a change only for this actually pattern. I will not make this into the part group or the sloper, because this is these would get too big. This is just just for this file. Another thing I want to make, and this we can maybe do together, is here for the skirt, the front skirt, I want to add 2 folds on each side. So first step to do this is actually to widen the skirt. This is 1/4 of the waist. actually not a quarter, it's waist according to the front bodice. It's a bit wider than the back for my personal measurements. And I need to add length for the folds. So I want to add 2 folds with 5 centimeters each, which would equal to 10 centimeters per fold, one back and forth. So I need to add 20 centimeters more width here to the waist. And this is something I will actually add into the sloper, because I think I can reuse this. So where do we have this? Here is the circle skirt sloper, and I create an additional configuration. And since most skirts don't need this addition, I will set the default to 0. And here for my pattern piece, I set it to 200. I'm working with millimeters here, so this would be 20 centimeters. And now I need to add this on the right place. Where do we have it? Circle skirt, front outer waist point. So this should be right. Yes. So here I just call the configuration. Let's check what this does. Ah, very well. So you see the front skirt piece has gone wilder, and automatically all the pattern pieces have rearranged. You see here all the pages, page numbers, which you need later to assemble the pattern piece when you printed it out. And I can now go and add some markings here, so you know where to lay the folds, and then the skirt is ready to be sewn. And then I need to do the pin tucks here, and yeah, then I can sew up this dress, I think. So yeah, the markers I think I would add to the pattern file, because these are pretty individual at this place. So I would go here, where is the circle skirt? Here's the skirt, right. Here is the circle skirt part group, the skirt front, and I would add here an additional 2 additional markers for the folds. This is what I do here. And yes, this is basically how I create my sewing patterns. Slowly, step by step. I can rely on many on my sewing piece library, and then I just make my changes for the specific model. And yeah, it's not pretty pictures. Sorry for that. It's just in the code, and yeah, this is how I create my sewing patterns. So let's wrap things up a bit. You have seen my software. Sadly, it's not possible for me to share any pretty pictures or paper cutting ASMR, because everything is in the computer, everything is in the code. You've seen how it works. I hope it was of some interest for you. And yeah, this is what is happening every time when you download a sewing pattern on my website is every time it is created freshly from scratch for you. And I love my software. I think it is not to not to brag about myself, but I think it is a pretty nice piece of software, and you can do much things with it. And I do much things with it, and I hope you might too. So if you haven't already, maybe you give it a chance and yeah, start your own journey. I was asked for my intentions with my software, and honestly, my first intention is to build my own wardrobe. So I could do it just on paper, but I love to share. I love to share things, and I have always shared tutorials on the internet. This is a pretty big tutorial. But I love to see when people make things from my sewing patterns, and yeah, maybe I can actually help some people who have the same issues with the ready-to-wear clothing sizes as I do, you know? So how do I wrap this up? Yeah, if you have some thoughts, let me know in the comments. If you have additional questions, just ask, and I'm glad to answer you. If you think you might want to support my website and my sewing patterns, I would appreciate every like and subscribe on YouTube or on Instagram. And if you want to go a little bit further, I do have a Patreon. So obviously hosting this website is not for free. I need to pay all of this and my software and not my work. My work is not paid, but you know, my editor software and all the stuff. So if you want to support me financially, you can absolutely do it in my Patreon. I will link this down below the video, but you don't have to. You can just enjoy and maybe give me an emoji, a smile. That would make my day. So anyhow, I hope I will see you soon. Next video will be a sewing video, hopefully, where I make up the pattern that we have seen today. And until then, I say bye.